Hey there, and welcome back. Today we're diving into a really cool dental challenge. We're talking about how you can save a tooth that, believe it or not, hasn't even finished growing yet. Okay, so picture this. You've got a tooth that's basically still under construction. Its root, not fully formed. So what happens if that tooth gets into trouble? I mean, how on earth do you do a root canal on a tooth that isn't even, well, complete? All right, here's the heart of the problem. We're looking at what's called a necrotic tooth. That just means the pulp inside is dead, maybe from a bad fall or some really deep decay. But the real challenge, it's something called an open apex. The tip of the root is just wide open. Think of it like a funnel with no bottom. You can't just fill it like a normal root canal, right? Because there's nothing to stop the filling material. And that's where this really clever solution comes in. It's a specialized procedure with one very specific goal. It's called Apexification. So Apexification is all about one thing, creating that missing backstop. The goal is to build a hard tissue barrier right at the root tip so the canal can finally be sealed off safely. And as you're about to see, there are two totally different ways to get this done. All right, let's start with the first approach. We'll call it Path 1, the natural barrier. This method is pretty amazing because it's all about nudging the body to, finish the job itself. This is the classic, old-school way of doing things, and it's a multi-step process. First, of course, the canal gets cleaned out. Then it's packed with this dense paste, calcium hydroxide. Now, this paste acts as a sort of gentle nudge, encouraging the body to create a hard, calcified barrier at the root tip. Once the dentist confirms that barrier is there, then they can finally go in and seal the canal for good. That last part is called obturation. But here's the catch. It's all about the timeline. This natural process, well, it's not quick. It takes a whole lot of patience. We're talking anywhere from 3 to 6 months for that barrier to form. That is a long, long time to wait. So you might be thinking, what if you or your patient don't have that kind of time? Well, that brings us to Path 2, the artificial barrier. This is the more direct, sort of engineered approach to fixing the problem. Now, the process starts out pretty much the same. The canal gets cleaned. But instead of packing it and waiting, the dentist places a plug of this really neat biocompatible material called MTA right at the open root tip. Boom. It creates an immediate barrier, which means the rest of the canal can be filled right away. And this right here is the biggest advantage of using MTA. The whole thing can be done, start to finish, in just 1 or 2 days. Yeah. Compare that to the 3 to 6 months of Path 1. That's a night and day difference. So this really leads us to the central question for any dentist facing this situation, right? It becomes a trade-off. You've got the type of barrier versus the time it takes to actually create it. Okay, let's put these two side by side. With the calcium hydroxide method, you're coaxing the body to build a natural barrier over several months. This absolutely, 100%, requires the patient to be compliant and show up for all their follow-up appointments. The MTA method, on the other hand, creates an artificial plug in just a day or two. This makes it perfect if you're worried that the patient, for whatever reason, might not make it back for all those visits. And, the source material really hammers this point home. The decision often boils down to a very human factor. The sheer speed of the MTA method makes it the clear choice when long-term follow-up or just patient compliance is questionable. It just gets the job done and makes sure the tooth is sealed and protected right away. So let's just recap the crucial points here. Apexification is our go-to for saving a dead, immature tooth. You've got 2 paths. Path 1 is the long game, using calcium hydroxide to get a natural barrier over several months. Path 2 is the fast track, using MTA to create an artificial barrier in just a day or 2. And the choice between them? It's not just a clinical one, it's a practical one, based entirely on the patient's situation. And that leaves us with a final thought to, chew on. In a world that's always about faster is better, the MTA method seems like a total no-brainer, right? The obvious winner. But it raises a really important question in healthcare. Is the fastest solution always the best one? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.